Kenna partners Andy Kirk in attack. Alan Maybury wears the skipper's armband.
Well, the Irishman Maybury is certainly a very committed player, to say the least. Very versatile, comfortable at right back or left back. And he'll be a big player for Hearts to deal with injury problems.
Kilmarnock against Hearts coming up.
Thanks a lot, fellas. Look forward to that. Let's just confirm the email and text number if you would like to get in touch with us. There it is for you, 07786 rather 202022, and you can email us as well with your thoughts. Well, just about an hour ago, the whistle blew on the last of the Tennent Scottish Cup quarter-finals, and at the same time it blew on Rangers' season. It finished 1-0 to Celtic. Henrik Larsson's goal, his first ever Scottish Cup goal, incidentally, against Rangers. Paul Mitchell was there.
It was a match of very few chances, and in the end it was down to Henrik Larsson to separate the Old Firm. His goal after 53 minutes, the difference in the tie. Celtic started brightly. Rangers worked themselves into the game. Celtic had a few chances before half-time, but Stephen Kloss really had very little to do. Mind you, he had more than Rab Douglas, who took 90 minutes to have to make a save. Gavin Ray, the man on target on that occasion. The goal came after 53 minutes, a free kick into the box, initially defended by Kloss. Pearson's shot was spilled by Stephen Kloss. He could do little else, and Henrik Larsson was there to pounce. Craig Beattie could have put the game away 10 minutes from time, but Kloss made a great save to keep Rangers on the tie. And with the match 93 minutes old, Gavin Ray was presented with an opportunity to equalise, but sadly for Rangers, he pulled the ball wide. Rangers, therefore, will win no silverware this season. Celtic march on. Next up, Barcelona.
Thanks, Paul. Yes, that match live on the BBC, and we'll have highlights of the Celtic-Rangers tie just after 5 o'clock this afternoon. So it means, of course, that there are 5 clubs going into the semi-final draw in this year's Tennent Scottish Cup. That will be made live on Reporting Scotland tomorrow night, round about 7:15. There they are: Dunfermline, Inverness, Cally Thistle, Aberdeen or Livingston, Stuart's team, and, of course, now Celtic. Well, let's get the thoughts of the lads on that Celtic victory. Gordon, I know you watched the match. I thought Rangers competed very well, but they were punchless, weren't they?
They did. They would want that. Their supporters, first and foremost, would want them to be competing for every ball, and they did that today. Fought Celtic all the way. Celtic had an unusual line-up, of course, without Sutton. It meant it was a different style of play too. They'd only Larsson his own up front, which meant that they were pretty full in midfield. They had 5 midfield players, a 4-5-1 formation, and Rangers with 3 at the back, which is unusual for them as well. I know, but Alec McLeish doesn't really want to play 3 at the back, but he did today, and it was quite strange. They had 5 in the midfield as well, and for most of the first half, it was just a turgid battle in there. Not a lot of football getting played. The second half opened up a bit better, but I just felt that there was very few chances in the game, and Celtic took theirs.
Yeah, Stuart, I know you didn't see all of the game, but generally speaking, it's been a disappointing season for Rangers. What do you think's been their main problem?
Well, they've lost their best players. I think that's the simple fact of the matter. The loss of Barry Ferguson in particular was the main problem, but Amoruso, you know, these guys were difficult to replace, and they haven't managed to do that.
All right, let's turn our attention to Hearts' visits to Kilmarnock. Those Old Firm highlights at 5 o'clock, remember. There's the current Bank of Scotland Premier League table. This time last year, Hearts were third, Kilmarnock were fourth, and there were only 4 points between them. Now, as you can see, they're separated by 7 places and 20 points. Does that mean, Gordon, that Hearts are big favourites today?
I don't think they'll be big favourites today. I think that you know, they're going well, and it's a good season for them. I think they'll get third spot without doubt. I don't see them getting second spot. I think that, you know, Rangers between now and the end of the season will have to win games, even though they're playing for nothing. The pressure on them to play in front of the home support will make them win games. But I think Hearts, unfortunately for them today, without key players, and I think that can make a big difference. Kilmarnock have won their last 2 games. I thought last week they were pretty impressive against Dundee, and Jim Jeffries has gone with the same lineup today, which means I think that he's expecting to try and get a result today. And I think Hearts, those key players, especially with Presley, I know young Berra, youngster, 19 years of age, he and Webster are basically still young players, and it's very difficult to see Webster having to be the dominant one today with the youngster alongside him. I think Presley will be a big miss for them.
He always is for Hearts and for Scotland, in fact. Killie, for me, it's surprising to see them down there, Stuart. I know the table doesn't lie, but on paper, and I know that doesn't really count for very much, but they should be better than the league table tells us.
Well, based on where they finished last year, you would think that, but I don't think we can get carried away with them being 10th, because I think we'll notice from the league table, I think that 3 points away from 6th. And
yeah, it's all very tight, isn't it?
It's only the likes of Motherwell who put a few wins together, have managed to get themselves a cushion, but the rest of us in the league are scrapping for 1 place, I suppose.
Well, let's take a look at a couple of the guys that may well be key players in this afternoon's match. For the home side, Chris Boyd had a major role to play in last week's win over Dundee, didn't he, Gordon?
Very much so. I think that the strong area that Kilmarnock showed last week was up front. Boyd and Invincible, who we see there just having a chat together, were a very, very good partnership. Boyd's a strong player, very good in the air as well, but you know, he scores goals, different types of goals too. There's a tremendous volley against Thistle, and last week this was his contribution as well, not scoring but laying on a couple of goals just by his physical presence in there. Invincible was very sharp getting onto that one, and we see this was a goal in the second half too. Boyd again wins it, flicks it on, and Invincible finishes, and I just thought that would be a strong area for Kilmarnock, and even more so now that Presley's out. I thought that if Kilmarnock are going to get anything today, it would be their front two who would create it. And now, without Stephen Presley, that's going to be a real problem for Hearts.
Yeah, I think Boyd and Invincible are delighted to see that Stephen Presley's missing. Kevin McKenna for Hearts, Stuart, is one of those lovely guys to have around. He can play up front, he can play at the back, he can cause problems anywhere, really, can't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's very versatile. I think sometimes for a player that can be a pain because you maybe don't nail down a position for your own, but I think he's a godsend to Craig Levein because I've seen him play this season. Centre-back, he's played up front, he's played wide on the right and on the left, and don't like this clip seeing him score a win against us just a couple of weeks ago, but I think that's his strength. I mean, he's a fantastic header of the ball. This is a better example. You know, the fact that he can play the position, we see him making a great challenge at centre-back. We would expect him to play up front today because Craig Levein does favour a big man up front to play alongside Andy Kirk.
So I think you made the point. Sorry, I was going to say, I think you made the point as well that you might have played him at the back today, but he'd just like to have that big guy upside Kirk because they're a strong pairing as well. But you thought his experience might have been more handy at the back.
Yeah, well, we shall see very shortly. Kick off 3 o'clock, of course. Let's hear from the two managers. Firstly, Jim Jeffries, who's with Chick.
Jim, in the current financial climate of the Scottish game, just how important is it for Kilmarnock to make this top 6?
Well, the important thing is to make sure that we have a club here, and the club took a decision about just before the start of the season about the way they were going to go. So we've had to reduce the work, but we have to work within the budget. But we've still got to try and meet our targets, which is to try and get into the top 6. So we're no different. We'll try and get there, and we just have to do it a wee bit harder because we've lost some good players.
Do you believe that you're on the straight and narrow again, that you can do it?
Well, it's a very tight league, and you know, even Aberdeen are below us, and they've got a chance of being in the top half. It's so tight. You see Motherwell 3 wins in a week, and you know, they've got a good cushion there in 5th place. So a lot of teams fighting for 6th spot. So we can take a step today by jumping about 3 places and giving us a lift. But we've won our last 2 home games, and you know, it'll be a hard game today. But if we play as well as we did last week against Dundee, then we're in with a chance.
Thanks, Jim.
Now, their home record has really been pretty shocking this season, but last week's win will give them the lift they needed, Stuart, I would think.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's easy to touch on home records, but I've noticed all through the season a lot of teams have tended to struggle at home and prefer to have the less pressure on them away from home. I mean, for me, the key battle today in this match is how the likes of Berra and Webster cope with Boyd's physical presence and the pace of Invincible, because I think we haven't seen anything of Berra. We have no idea of his capabilities, and with Presley out, that's a huge miss for them.
Well, we've heard from Jim Jeffrey. Let's hear now from the Hearts boss, Craig Levein, who's also with Chick.
Eternally, of course, Craig, managers think, yeah, we'll settle for battling for 3rd place. Is there any reason why you can't go 2nd? Can you catch Rangers?
Well, it's not in the forefront of my mind. I think that we have a job to try and consolidate in 3rd place this year, and that is our first priority. I think, to be honest, I think that we would need to have an exceptional finish to the season, and Rangers would need to have a catastrophic finish this season for us to be able to catch them. So we're 13 points behind. It's unlikely, but rest assured we'll be trying to win every match between now and the end of the season.
Europe, of course, is all important to you. Intertoto Cup, you've put your name down for that, haven't you?
Well, I think that obviously in the financial climate just now, I think any extra sort of revenue that we can bring into the club is good, and I think that a club the size of Hearts needs Europe, and you know, the plan is to achieve that obviously through league position, and that's what we hope to do, starting with winning today's match. But you know, there is a backup, and that is Intertoto Cup. We don't want to go into Intertoto Cup, trust me on that one, but I think it's there to safeguard the financial position.
Very briefly, no Presley today. What's wrong with him?
Well, we'll have a number of casualties today, to be honest, but he's unexpected because he had a little bit of a virus last night. He's been up all night. I think he's got a nappy rash this morning.
Okay, I think that's a medical report, Roger. Thanks, Craig.
Sounds like the big man will be watching the match from a standing position. We've talked about how much we're going to miss him, obviously. Our Hearts are going to miss him. I think Craig resents the fact, Gordon, that Hearts seem to be known in some quarters as a big physical team. They're more than that, aren't they?
Yeah, they are more than that. They're a good football inside. I mean, they've got players like Stamp and McFarlane who could play in the middle. Kirk up front, he's sharp. Winans when he's in the team. But the two youngsters like Hamill and Sloan, also playing in wider areas, are also good footballers too. So they do try and play. I think there is a tendency at times, though, that in certain positions, a bit like Celtic, I mean, you can't deny it, that Celtic eventually end up throwing the ball into the box to try and win it with certain Hearts. And Hearts are the same. At times, they've got De Vries up there, that physical presence. They know they're going to cause teams problems. And today, they'll be doing that with McKenna. I think you will see them hit the ball a fair bit from back to front, but they're also trying to play off that as well.
Yeah. And briefly, who do you fancy?
I fancy Kilmarnock is going to get a result today.
Right, Stuart?
I've no idea.
Very honest. I think it will be close, won't it? Who do you think will be man of the match? If your choice agrees with Sandy Clark's, you could win his jersey. You can also win a Bank of Scotland family match day out at the club of your choice, or an MP3 player. 09011 110 861. Give us a call and predict who will be man of the match. So there we are. We're looking forward to it. The big match in the sunshine at Rugby Park this afternoon. Killie against Hearts. Back to Rob and Sandy.
2 home wins in February for Kilmarnock, after only 2 victories at Rugby Park in 6 months. That's lifted the spirits of the Kilmarnock supporters a little bit, and a win today, such as the tightness of the middle section of the Premier League, a win would put them level in points with 6th placed Dundee United. Hearts can hit 50 Premier points themselves if they win it today, and that would put them 12 clear of Tennent's Scottish Cup semi-finalists Dunfermline, and pretty much home and dry if they're not already for a return to the UEFA Cup next season. These are the teams. Firstly, Kilmarnock. Same again, the same team which beat Dundee 4-2 last weekend. Gordon Greer had a late fitness test. He's fit enough only for a seat on the bench. David Lilly, Eric Skora and Gary Hay were all doubts ahead of this. They've all recovered from knocks, and it's the Boyd Invincible partnership up front which produced 3 of the 4 goals against Dundee.
Jim Jeffers will certainly start 4-4-2 today. When you look at that midfield area, Gary Locke, the captain, he'll be the holding midfield player, allowing Eric Skora to get forward and support the front 2. And as you said, Rob, the front 2 are going to be the important part for Thistle. Both played very well last week against Dundee, Danny Invincible and Chris Boyd, and they'll be a real handful today for the Hearts back line.
Some VIPs missing in this Hearts lineup. No skipper Stephen Presley. I think we've heard enough about his nappy rush to be going on with. No top scorer Mark De Vries, still injured. And suspended pair Paul Hartley and Patrick Kisnorbo are ruled out as well. That means 19-year-old Christophe Berra, who's played only 15 minutes of SPL football, lines up alongside Andy Webster in defence, 40 years of age between them. 2 20-year-olds in the wide areas, Joe Hamill and Robert Sloan, and it's Kevin McKenna up front. He's been scoring goals of late alongside Andy Kirk.
Craig Levein, because of the injury problems, will certainly start with a 4-4-2 today. And young Christophe Berry, you mentioned him, Rob. He'll have a real test against Invincible and Chris Boyd. But when you look at the midfield area, Hearts certainly don't look as strong, as physically strong as normal. Hamill and Sloan, the wide players in the 4 across the middle of the park, both left-sided, so they can well interchange as the game goes on. And Kevin McKenna, as Gordon was saying, they're playing up front for one reason. I'm sure Hearts will play along. McKenna will win the balls, and Kirk will be looking for second balls.
These two were available for a rescheduled league game this weekend because they were knocked out of the Tennent's Scottish Cup by the Old Firm. Kilmarnock lost 2-0 to Rangers. Celtic beat Hearts 3-0 at Tynecastle. But it's an important chance for them to make some progress in the league. Hearts could widen the gap that they currently have in 3rd spot. And Kilmarnock have the chance to put a whole new complexion on their league campaign. Alan Maybury takes on extra responsibility for Hearts today, the captain, and those 2 youngsters, of course, in defence alongside him. And, well, Robbie Nielsen on the other side of the defence is hardly an old stager either. Gary Locke. No, that's not him, just slightly behind. The Hearts skipper, formerly. He lifted the Tennant Scottish Cup in 1998. 9 years with the Tynecastle team. Followed Jim Jeffries down to Bradford, and he's with them again now at Kilmarnock, playing the holding role in midfield. There is Christophe Berra, has the distinction of having gone to the same school as Manchester United and Scotland midfielder Darren Fletcher in Dalkeith, and this is a big chance for him, standing in for the skipper. Mike McCurry is the referee for Kilmarnock against Hearts. Sunshine in Ayrshire as this match just about gets underway. And a thread of continuity for Kilmarnock. Not too often this season as Jim Jeffries had the luxury of being able to pick the same team for 2 matches running, or even wanting to pick the same team for 2 matches running. Miserable has been their form. Finished 4th last season. Still 3rd bottom this time around, although there is the chance, as we've been saying, for them to vastly improve their situation. What a difference 3 home wins on the bounce would make for Kilmarnock. They've had big worries about their home form this season, and it does get to you after a while.
I think, Rob, when you look at the personnel missing from the Hearts lineup today, Jim Jeffries will feel very confident at this moment in time.
Phil Stamp to the byline, great ball in. David Lilly tucks it behind. That was good work from Stamp, and he must be disappointed, oblique furious, that nobody was on the end of this.
He's raging, Rob. This is a great ball across the box. All you ask is someone attacks the ball. Hamill starting off the game behind the left-hand side. He should have been the one into the back post area.
What a start that might have been for Hearts. Neil McFarlane under pressure from James Fowler. Robbie Nielsen looking for Andy Webster's head. Phil Stamp's shot. He's been heavily involved in the opening moments. His shot well off target. And Craig Levine, I'm sure, will share Phil Stamp's disappointment that nobody was on the end of the cutback. And again, it's the former Middlesbrough midfielder with this shot, which was well away.
Under a lot of pressure there, Phil Stamp, as he hit that shot. But a good start from the Hearts midfield player. A lot of responsibility on him today with the 1 or 2 young players round about him.
Colin Meldrum in goal for Kilmarnock. Only his 2nd start since September. He's been kept out by Francois Dubourdeau. He's been 11 years at Kilmarnock, Meldrum, and he's played just 70-odd games in that time. Chris Boyd in pursuit. Back from Maybury to Gordon and away. That's McKenna. The header won by Barry McLaughlin. A loyal servant to St Mirren for so long, McLaughlin. That's offside. Jim Jeffries was in charge of Hearts for nearly 250 games. He was a real stalwart as a player as well, wasn't he, in his time, Sandy?
He was, certainly very enthusiastic, Jim. Demands the best of his players. And you've got to say he's got a tremendous record of football management.
Gordon aims the free kick at McKenna. Thumped away by Hay. It's an up and under which comes down at the edge of the area. McFarlane. Andy Kirk asking questions of Barry McLaughlin. It's gone behind for the corner.
That's good play from Andy Kirk. McLaughlin, clear favourite to get to that one, but Kirk off his mark, nice and sharp, put him under a lot of pressure to win the corner.
It's going to be Robert Sloan who will play this in. 5 in the area for the Sloan corner. McKenna and Webster threatening. Fowler tries to escort it clear. Up ahead of him, Danny Invincible. Useful touch. A player growing in confidence. Knocked over the head of Maybury. Out comes Craig Gordon. Freddie Dindala. Gary Hay. Stevie Murray. Turned out of play by Phil Stamp. Stevie Murray was deemed too small by Celtic and Newcastle at 5'3". Bobby Williamson took him on at Kilmarnock. It really is good to watch a winger of the old school. Likes a Maisie. Andy Webster clears.
Just having a look at the Hearts back four, Rob. Alan Maybury's playing right back today. Robin Nielsen playing left back. Normally it's the other way about, but Craig Levine obviously feeling I need to keep Maybury in the right side.
Although he's only 25, Alan Maybury, he's got a lot of experience behind him. Champions League with Leeds in his time. Well, there was little chance there for Chris Boyd. It got flicked up off his head and fairly harmlessly in the end into the gloves of Gordon. That's out off Nielsen.
Just looking back to that long throw, Rob, from Gary Locke, you can see that Jim Jeffries today is going to throw lots of high balls up there for Invincible and Chris Boyd. It'll be a real test for the two youngsters at the Hearts defence.
Free kick given against Boyd.
The home fans looking for a handball there, but the referee Mike McCurry spot on as normal.
Down the line from Maybury, watched all the way by Dindala, and it flicked off Andy Kirk on its way out. Freddie Dindala's been 5 years at Kilmarnock now, part of the furniture here. Hasn't let them down too often. That's Berra with the clearance. McFarlane. Maybury. Kirk the target, now Joe Hamill. Andy Kirk again. Shooting chance for Kirk, couldn't keep it down.
That's good play from Andy Kirk. Picks up the loose ball in the middle of the park. Only one thing in his mind here, I'm going to drive forward, try and use my pace. And the game opened up a little bit for him. Joe Hamill might not be too happy. He was sitting wide on the left-hand side, looking for the pass, but good determination, drive from Kirk.
He's a good goal scorer, Kirk. He's got 8 this season, Sandy, but he's been far from a regular starter, quite often missing out in deference to Dennis Winus.
Well, on a personal basis, I prefer Andy Kirk because he's pace over the top. I think we spoke about Freddie Dindala earlier and Barry McLaughlin. They'll have to be really aware because the one thing about Kirk, he'll be able to give them a yard at the start and go beyond them.
Invincible, headed away by Berra. Robert Sloan with the reverse pass, which carried too much for Alan Maybury. And Craig Levine indicated before the match that Sloan and Hamill might well be switching sides, and that's exactly what's happening in these opening stages. Nielsen picks out Kirk. In the way of the pass was McLaughlin, back from Lilly to Meldrum, and hit the panic button a little bit there, Colin Meldrum.
You can see the disappointment in Colin Meldrum's face. No excuse for that one, that's just a poor kick. Take a touch, if you want to play on your left foot, take a touch, take it across your body.
We've got another little live match on Thursday night. Celtic against Barcelona. Previewing it from 7 o'clock onwards. Kick-off 8 o'clock. It could be quite a game in the 4th round of the UEFA Cup. don't forget, we'll be showing you highlights of today's Old Firm Tennent Scottish Cup quarter-final later on in this programme, with extended highlights this evening. Eric Skora lofting it in. Craig Gordon in a bit of bother, but free kick given against Danny Invincible. I'm not sure how much he was guilty of there, to be honest.
I don't think that's a free kick. Again, it's a case of goalkeepers being overprotected. Eric Skora just fires this ball high into the box. Look at there, the two of them are having a go at each other. It happens all the time, but goalkeepers, for me, too much protection for them. They're big enough to handle themselves.
Good play from Sloan. Stamp to Nielsen and out. Lily's pass finds its way through to Fowler. That's offside against Boyd. When Frenchman Eric Skora came to sign for Kilmarnock from Preston on loan, it took him 6 hours from Preston to Kilmarnock. He took directions from Jonathan Gould. Never a great idea. I think he went via Penzance. He's been a good signing, scored a couple of times. Craig Brown wants him back. He wants him to play games here. It's a handball by Andy Kirk. But there's no question that Preston are wanting rid of Skora. It is all about getting games, getting first-team experience. He's just 22. He was on the bench for Preston, but he's starting much more regularly for Kilmarnock, and he's a player of some talent. Bennett clears. Powering in for the header was Barry McLaughlin. That's another offside. This is getting a bit tedious.
That one was close though. Robin Nielsen looked as if he'd maybe played him onside, my first opinion. But when the ball goes forward, we can see Robin Nielsen, for me, playing him onside. That's a mistake by the assistant, just below us.
Chick Jim Jeffries looking for a lot from Danny Invincible. He took so long to get his first goal, and then, of course, two came along last weekend.
Yeah, I was talking to Jim and Billy Brown about him just before kick-off and Danny Invincible, and I think when they saw him, he looked the complete footballer. It was a long time coming good for Kilmarnock. Last week he was terrific. I thought that was going to be his last chance. He decided to give him one last chance, of course. He really did it for them, and they're starting to believe in him all over again. The fact he's got a contract talk coming up shortly might have something to do with it. But I'm a cynic, haven't I?
We know all about contract talks, don't we? Andy Webster, Phil Stamp, and out wide for Robert Sloan, hugging that right touchline. Good challenge from Stevie Murray, back with McFarlane, and possession given away again. Gary Hay, Danny Invincible. Well, the whistle goes for a free kick, a Hearts free kick. That doesn't go down too well with him.
He's not too happy, to say the least. I think Mike McCurry's trying to say there that just a little flick on with the arrow. Danny Invincible played the ball back the way. It's Invincible the free kick's against. Maybury for Kirk. The header falls away from McKenna. That's a mistake by Lilly. And the repercussions for him not too serious. He breathes a sigh of relief. Long ball from Murray, headed away by Webster. Kept in by Maybury. Skora, Fowler. And now Lilly. Good movement from Invincible. Getting the better of Berra. And away by Andy Webster. Back it comes from Lilly. Here's a chance for Skora. Wrong side of the post. It's the best chance so far. It's great play from the Frenchman. Great first touch. So watch when the ball comes out to him here. It's just played back in. This is a great touch from Skora. Buying himself time, space. Only thing he gets wrong, he doesn't get it on target. He should try and go across the goalkeeper from that area. If you don't score, someone else might just tap it in. You may get the rebound. The great play.
It's his 7th start on loan from Preston, and he can play a bit, and the Kilmarnock fans enjoying watching what he can do. Dindala plays it well beyond Boyd and Invincible. Don't forget that man of the match telephone number 09011 110 861. Sandy will decide later. Nil-nil in the 15th minute at Rugby Park, highly competitive. And the closest we've seen so far, that shot from Skora, which brushed the side net. Neil McFarlane was struggling to hold on to that. Good work though from Kirk. Kevin McKenna on his left foot. He was on his way to the deck as he struck it, and there was a little behind this.
I think he's looking for a free kick, Kevin McKenna. A good play from Andy Kirk to win the first ball. There, just that little bit of contact there. Kevin McKenna's looking for a free in his favour.
Great challenge by Lilly. Left no one in any doubt, and that was his, especially Joe Hamill. Chris Boyd, beyond Skora. Murray, Invincible, shot blocked by Webster. Good pressure from Kilmarnock, and looking to keep it on. The Murray back heel. Gary Hay lets it run out, and that takes the heat off Hearts.
Great play from Kelly though, great move. Lally playing the ball forward. Chris Boyd playing it across there, and Stevie Murray, maybe he's got to come in because Skora was on his own and really just couldn't find his player as it came across. But Andy Webster, got to say, it's a great block.
These Kilmarnock fans quite encouraged by the way their team has started. I don't think Jim Jeffries was too pleased with Gary Hay there, Chick, was he?
I'm just trying to find some of the words that I could broadcast that he used, actually, but the basis of it was get the ball into the middle a bit more quickly, please.
That's the Sunday translation. Lily's pass rolled to the feet of Invincible, turning away from Nielsen, escaping Phil Stamp as well, and then failing to find Boyd with a pass.
The way the game's going, Rob, Eric Skora's causing lots of problems to the Hearts defenders. He's breaking forward from the middle of the park. He's not getting trailed by a Hearts midfield player.
Stevie Murray plays it in. Eric Skora had made the run into the box. He does that very well, getting beyond the two main strikers.
Yep, you see it again, he gets across first to the ball as the high ball come into the box. Just can't get quite enough on it. But Phil Stamp and Neil McFarlane, neither of those two are working back with the killer midfield player, leaving the responsibility up to the back four.
Well, a breakdown in communication between Murray and Hay allows the ball out. Hearts have the throw. Andy Kirk. His cross blocked by Murray. And Hearts want Kirk in the middle. They don't want him out in the wide areas particularly. He's a finisher. Maybury's throw. McKenna looking for the header. Dindala won it. Murray clears. Taken down by Invincible. Squared it for Skora. He couldn't get control. David Lilly defending solidly against Robert Sloan. And a feature of this first half, Chick, has been the constant switching of the wide players for Hearts. Robert Sloan here and Joe Hamill as well.
Yeah, that's right, Robin. And Craig Levine's just been encouraging him to do exactly that again, a little switch over that we've seen happen. So, you know, Jim Jeffries has got to react to that. He's been at Stevie Murray throughout this first half to take the ball on, go at the defenders, and a lot of action is happening right in front of the dugouts down the Kilmarnock left side.
Christoph Bennett played that away, it was out before he got there. A teenager getting a big chance today in the Hearts top team in the absence of captain Stephen Presley. That's a push, surely, by Andy Kirk. Nothing much subtle about it. against Gary Locke.
Just a little nudge, but certainly a free kick in Kelly's favour. Big guys up from the back.
Is that what you call a little nudge? Scorer's free kick, headed clear by Maybury. That was Fowler, and again James Fowler. Sloan calmly cleared it, and gives Hearts the chance for a quick counter. Andy Kirk, Kevin McKenna. Can Hearts get the lead? No, they can't. It was a golden chance on the break for Hearts to strike, and Kevin McKenna can't bear to look.
It's an unbelievable chance. Andy Kirk, first of all, stumbled a little bit with it. Kevin McKenna, that ball was just behind him, not allowing him to run through the goalkeeper. But the one thing you've got to do when you get into this area, you've got to make the goalkeeper work. Get your head over the ball, make sure you hit the target. And Kevin McKenna puts that one over the bar, taking the pressure off the goalkeeper.
I think Jim Jeffries has been giving Stevie Murray a little bit of stick when he didn't match the run of McKenna. Good covering across from Andy Webster against Chris Boyd.
I'm a bit surprised Rob, I've not seen a goal yet. There's been chances at both ends. Both teams having a real go, trying to get in front, get Adam Thornton open goal.
Locke's long throw. Thumped away by Sloan. It's McLaughlin. Fowler. Good challenge by Nielsen. Robbie Nielsen's pass way off target this time. Hey to Invincible. Murray lost his footing, and that allowed Maybury to pounce.
There's also when to throw in Alan Maybury. It's a deflection off of Stevie Murray.
Kilmarnock will feel well warned by that quick Hearts break, which could have given the Tynecastle team the lead.
Well, it was from the Kilmarnock free kick, all the big guys from the back up the field of play. Certainly a very quick counter-attack from Hearts.
Just about midway through the first half. Nielsen to Kirk. Couldn't make it stick. Hamill digs it out for McFarlane. Now Maybury. Good touch from McFarlane. And not quite sure what that was from Phil Stamp. I'm not too sure he knows either.
No, he won't know. It's a pure pass to say the least from Phil Stamp. He's got much more quality than that.
It's a very unfamiliar looking Hearts team when you look through the lineup. No Presley, no De Vries, no Hartley, no Kisnorbo, no Severin. I mean, that's half a team.
Well, it's also some big, powerful players, Rob. I think Kilmarnock probably got the slight advantage in height today because of that. I think back to the earlier one when you know Craig is changing Hamill and Sloan. I don't think there's any tactical reason why he's changing them. I think neither of the wild players can get in the game at all. He's trying to maybe just give them a little bit of encouragement to go on the ball more.
Kevin McKenna's had his chances. Here he is again. Holding off Dundala. Stamp plays it in. Kirk had a flash at it. Didn't really catch it. Lilly works it away. That's a poor pass, which Chris Boyd is happy to intercept, and equally happy, it seems, to give it away. Nielsen plays it up for McKenna. That was well watched and well won by Freddie Dundala.
You had to get there, Freddie Dundala. Kevin McKenna made a very good run in behind him. He's very powerful, very good in here, Kevin McKenna.
And he's got back up with the two central defenders making their way forward. Christoph Berra and Andy Webster, both inside the 6-yard box. 4 for Hearts in at close range. Full stamp around the penalty spot. Robert Sloan looks to set something up. It was won by Lilly. Sloan's turn, well seen and well dealt with by Invincible. Maybury with the supply. McLaughlin's header. Fowler lofts it forward for Chris Boyd. He's quick and he's powerful, but he showed too much of it to Alan Maybury.
Great defender from Alan Maybury.
Coming in from the right side of the defence to snuff out the threat of the 20-year-old Kilmarnock striker. Stamp to Nielsen. And yet again, explanations having to be given for passes going astray. And the head coach not impressed.
He won't be, Robbie Nielsen. That's 2 in a row he's given the ball away without being under any pressure. I think that's maybe what happens when you're a right-sided player playing the left-back position.
Hearts free kick, given against the challenge on Nielsen by Boyd.
You'll see Chris Boyd coming in late. And Robbie Nielsen says his left arm going to cross the face, the neck, the chin of Robbie Nielsen. That's a sore one for the young Hearts defender.
Was it just the face, the neck and the chin? Nielsen for Kirk, played away from him by Barry McLaughlin. That's David Lilly. Played in hope rather than anything else. Kevin McKenna. Touch not good enough. It's untidy play in the midfield. Neither team able to stamp total authority on this. And there's another unpleasant tangle, which Mike McCurry says play on. Former Queen of the South, Aberdeen and Partick Thistle right back David Lilly signed in the transfer window. Locked to Fowler. Good challenge by Nielsen. Sloan for McKenna, and again it's the excellent Freddie Dindala with top-class defending.
I think Freddie Dindala's looking for a free kick there, with Mike McCurry having none of it. Kevin McKenna will make life difficult for the 2 Kilmarnock centre-backs. Very physical. I think Freddie Dindala's a little bit unlucky there.
I can't believe that, Sandy. There was nothing in that. That was surely brilliant defending. Anticipation, got there before McKenna, and the free kick going against him.
Yeah, he was unlucky to say the least.
Mike McCurry is a magician, isn't he? That wasn't magic though, Mike. Nil-nil, 27 minutes gone at Rugby Park. Kilmarnock looking to make it 3 in a row. Another free kick. Can't help feeling that Mike McCurry could let this flow a little bit more. Nielsen forces it through the middle, but little chance of Kevin McKenna catching up with it.
It's become scrappy in the last few minutes. Both teams giving the ball away, making a lot of mistakes. And we need somebody just to settle down, put their foot in the ball.
There was a little bit of pinball, which almost made things awkward in the Hearts' defence before Berra cleared. That's good work from Andy Kirk. Gets it down to Sloan. Now Stamp. Joe Hamill, supported by Neil McFarlane. Alan Maybury on the overlap. Dundala, so solid as ever at the heart of the Killie defence. McFarlane for Kirk. Again, it's Dindala. Onto the loose ball. Phil Stamp driving through the midfield, and he hit the deck and he's stayed there. Hearts don't need another injury, but Stamp looks to be in a bit of bother. Game stopped so that Stamp can get some treatment, and he was banging the ground a couple of minutes ago, and the indication was that things are not too hot.
No, it's a sore one. It's Gary Locke that eventually makes the tackle on Phil Stamp. You can see it there, Gary Locke. It's the Stamp's left leg and Gary Locke's right leg. They get entangled between each other. No free kick, no touching the ball. Both of them trying to win the ball, both stretching. And it's a nasty one. He's back on his feet, Phil Stamp, but you can see the twist there. Just on his left knee, left calf.
Looks to be okay, Phil Stamp. Has to go off, of course, as is traditional, before he comes back on. And it was Gary Locke's challenge. Stamp and Locke, not two players you would generally think would be likely to shirk any challenge.
No, you wouldn't think so.
And I believe there's some new directive, Chick, from FIFA that might in future require players to stay off even longer than that after they've been treated on the pitch.
It's one of the suggestions which has been put to the FIFA International Board, and of course the other one being that in the World Cup, this has been put forward by the 2006 World Cup Committee, that they would extend the half-time interval to 20 minutes, which is okay if you're in Munich in 2006, but if you're abroad in January, I don't think an extra 5 minutes down about a half-time is going to be fun. But 2 minutes, you would come off, Rob, if you'd had an injury and stand at the touchline before you got on again, which I think personally is absolute madness, but there you go.
Have you been speaking to Sepp again?
Me and Sepp are close, as you know.
Blatter and Bluter.
Blatter and Platter.
We're half an hour in, no goals. There have been some chances for Skora and for McKenna in particular. Stamp's header, flicked on by McKenna. McFarlane. Hamill's cross. Guess who's there? Dindala. McFarlane again. No joy for Kevin McKenna against Freddie Dindala, and that's a lovely pass to Chris Boyd. Invincible against Webster. There was some pushing going on as Invincible tried to get on the end of it. That's worth another look. Jim Jeffries certainly thinks so.
He's unlucky, Danny Invincible. Webster, it's a great play from Dindaloo to start with. That's a great ball, but Invincible and Webster going for this ball. Webster was in front, but Invincible was getting the better of him, and they both certainly get tangled. I think it'd been harsh to give a penalty kick, but Invincible fighting his corner really well. Unlucky not to even get the corner kick.
Taking his chances, Andy Webster against Danny Invincible. Here come Hearts. Andy Kirk. Lily clears. Locke has it. And looks to start another Kilmarnock attack. James Fowler. Obstruction.
That's
given against Robbie Nielsen.
It's got to be a card for Robbie Nielsen. That's crazy, no intention of going for the ball. There's no way Robbie Nielsen can escape a yellow card.
First booking of the match for Nielsen of Hearts.
You see here, Fowler's got the run on Robbie Nielsen. He's keeping his eye on the ball, but there's no way he's getting there. He just puts his arm across Fowler.
Set piece means Skora. 6 targets for Eric Skora's free kick. And fails to get it beyond Maybury.
That's the second one from Skora. Almost similar position. Can't beat the first man.
David Lilly's throw. Pulled away by Christoph Berra with what looked like a very high boot.
It was just round about his neck, it wasn't too high.
If it's Stevie Murray's neck, it's okay.
It was luck of the young centre back. You'll see it here. Oh, if that's not high feet dangerous play, I don't know what is.
David Lilly having words and receiving words from Mike McCurry. set-piece chance for Hearts, in from Sloan. McKenna's header down. There's Andy Webster, but he was off balance as he struck the shot, and it went well over.
It's a chance, though. You see the threat from Kevin McKenna in there again. He wins this header far too easily for Jim Jeffries' liking, I'm sure. It's a good ball across, and Webster gets a good first touch on it, but under a lot of pressure from David Lilly. Can't get the shot on target, but that's a first-class header from McKenna into a really dangerous area. Andy Webster does everything right, but eventually stretching at the final touch.
Hasn't scored Andy Webster in the SPL this season. His only goal for Hearts in this campaign was against Željezničar in the UEFA Cup. Invincible's layoff, full shots, bit of wrestling involving Gary Locke. Free kick given against him, his challenge on Sloan.
Gary Locke just pulls Robert Sloan back. You see it there, just tugging him at the ground.
Maybury to Nielsen. That's poor from Robbie Nielsen. Never looked likely to get beyond Murray. Webster's layoff, he stayed forward. And here he is again. Andy Kirk, brushed aside by Skoda. Starks challenge on Locke, means possession back with Hearts. Long ball from Berra, too long for Kirk. Hearts 9 points ahead in third place. Something dramatic would have to happen, you would think, for them not to qualify for UEFA Cup football next season, and they'll feel they missed out on a big chance against Bordeaux in the UEFA Cup, having won in France and lost 2-0 at Tynecastle, and the experience, you would think, won't have done the Tynecastle team any harm.
No, they've had a very good season. Hearts, very difficult opponents, hard to beat. Big, strong, powerful outfit.
Chick, how happy is Craig Levein with what he's seeing from his team at the moment?
Actually, just in a great moment, Rob. Both Jim Jeffries and Craig Levein almost simultaneously shouted, "Get it down and pass it." So see all of us.
Certainly not been the beautiful game so far. Lofted in by Stamp. An offside flag has gone up. 8 minutes away from half-time. Kilmarnock 0, Hearts 0, live from BBC Scotland.
You'll see when this ball's played in. Yeah, I think it's Andy Kipps that's coming back from an offside position. Onside when the ball reaches up, but it's certainly offside when it was played. Good decision from the assistant. I wonder if Craig Levein, I'm looking at Robbie Nielsen's use of the ball today. It's been poor from the left-back position. Will Craig maybe think at half-time swap over Maybury and Nielsen?
Back from Dundalk to Meldrum. Flicked on by Boyd. Here is Nielsen. Stamp trying to power his way through the middle. A combination of Locke and Skoda kept him out. Sloan and McFarlane combine. McKenna trying to screen the ball from Dundalk. Did well against the odds. Sloan chips it forward for Nielsen. He'd made a good run. There's Andy Kirk. There's danger over.
It's a half chance again. Hearts should have saved possession inside the Kilmarnock balls, but Andy Kirk really makes a hash of this one. He picks the wrong option. This is the previous one. Kevin McKenna having a battle there with Freddie Dindaloo. McKenna doing well to keep control of the ball. And the play develops. Robin Nielsen eventually gets forward, and when he passes this ball into the box, Andy Kirk should just keep a hold of it. There's no way he's going to score from there. Take a touch, make the defenders commit themselves.
That's played into the corner by Sloan. And away by McLaughlin. That was a push, Invincible on Nielsen.
The home fans not too happy. That there's no question that was a free kick.
Nielsen's free kick. Laughlin heads it clear.
He's watching Kevin McKenna there. He's got his hands up in despair, saying to Robbie Nielsen, why don't you play the ball high into me? I'm winning all the headers. Frustration from the Hearts striker.
He's not winning all the headers, though, is he? He's having a hard time from Freddie Dundala.
But free kicks and set pieces, Robbie's knocked a few back into very dangerous areas, and that was another chance for Robbie Nielsen to do that.
Well, there's another chance for Hearts to try to get it right from a set play. McFarlane and Stamp and Sloan in conversation. The Stamp strike came off. Chris Boyd on its way behind. Corner kick.
It's going well wide. The hit from Phil Stamp is certainly very, very far out. But Andy Kitt's unlucky with the rebound. It comes off of Boyd, goes across the face of the goal, and it's just a yard in front of Andy Kitt. Otherwise, that could have been an opportunity for the Hearts striker.
A fourth corner kick for Hearts. 5 minutes from half-time. In from Sloan. The bodies are tumbling in the penalty box. It's a Kilmarnock free kick.
I think Kevin McKenna agrees. And certainly a Kilmarnock player that ends up in the ground as the ball comes over. You can see McLaughlin and McKenna battling each other there.
Yeah, it was 6 1/2
Yeah, it was. You know, but the referee very, very seldom will give a penalty kick in that type of situation. Much easier to give a free kick in favour of the defending team.
In the Old Firm Cup quarter-final earlier, it was Celtic 1, Rangers 0. Celtic into the semi-finals, joining Dunfermline and Inverness there, and either Livingston or Aberdeen. And you'll see highlights later on in this programme of the match at Celtic Park. Mistake by Webster. Murray plays it forward for Boyd. Another chance missed.
Probably the best chance of the game for Chris Boyd. Andy Webster makes an absolute mess of the first one. Goes to win the ball, makes a mess of it. Murray, this is a great little pass for Boyd. Does well to hold off Berra. And again, doesn't get it on target. Great opportunity, good play, nice and strong. Ball falls for him, but you've got to hit the target.
Well, it could have been 2 each by now. It remains goalless in the closing minutes of the first half. Stamp's pass to Nielsen. Robbie Nielsen's cross for Kevin McKenna, and Freddie Dundala had to stretch to his full height to deny the Hearts striker a goal.
It's great defending again from Dundala. That's a decent ball from Robbie Nielsen. Left-hand side, right foot. McKenna sneaking in behind the Kelly back four again, but Dundala's had to be strong today. He's had to play well first half. Little chat there between the two of them.
Robert Sloan with the Hearts corner, palmed away by Meldrum, not too convincingly. Start to Maybury. Hearts looking to get themselves in front as the first half comes to a close. That's good goalkeeping from Colin Meldrum. He was decisive there.
Good decision making from the Kilmarnock goalkeeper. This is a good ball in. Robert Sloan fires this across that dangerous area again. And Meldrum made his mind up.
Danny Invincible for Kilmarnock. Here's Eric Scudder. Straight at Craig Gordon in the end. It was another chance.
It's a real chance for scorer. Great first touch. Going beyond Havel. I think this takes a slight deflection that goes through. But eventually right down the throat of Craig Gordon.
Andy Kirk. And his cross blocked by Dindal. And that was behind before it was grabbed by Meldrum. Hearts have another corner.
There's not been a lot of quality football, but it's certainly been end-to-end stuff. With a lot of chances at both ends.
If there was a man of the first half, would it be Freddie Dindala, possibly?
It's certainly been there somewhere.
The Frenchman really has defended well for Kilmarnock, with a lot of intelligence as well.
Don't you try and influence me now.
Okay. You've never listened to me in the past. Sloan's corner. In went McFarlane. didn't get much of a touch. There's James Fowler keeping it in for Kilmarnock. Webster to Robert Sloan. And a header which never threatened to find the net from Christophe Berra. And the head coach wouldn't mind too much if Berra marked his first SPL start with a goal. Half-time at Rugby Park, goalless between Kilmarnock and Hearts, and that's a surprise because there have been chances. Doesn't Kevin McKenna know it? He might well have put Hearts in front, and he might well have had Kilmarnock ahead here. Eric Skora had a chance, good turn from him, good touch, and he hit the wrong side of the net. And this was the Skora effort, just brushing the side of the net. But on the break, this was a terrific opportunity for Hearts to get in front, and Kevin McKenna ruining the missed opportunity. He had to hit the target, didn't. It's goalless at half-time, and here's Billy Brown.
Billy, what have you made of that first half?
Well, actually, I thought we started the game quite well, but we're starting to do what they do. They play a lot of long balls because they've got big men up front, and we're not passing it. We're a passing team. We played really well last week, and we're not playing with the same movement and fluency as we did. You know, I've got to get down and start playing.
There've been chances scored just before half-time there.
Yeah, he probably should have did better. You know, the quality he's got. I thought the one before that, I thought that Craig Gordon put across the bar, we should have got a corner out of it. But overall, they've probably shaded it, and they're dangerous when the ball's getting in the box, because McKenna's good in the air. But we've got to play, we've got to get down and play.
Do something to bring us goals in the second half.
Well, I certainly hope so. I know it's disappointing if you've not got any goals checked, but we'll do our best.
Very grateful to you. Thank you, Billy.
They are doing their best. No goals so far. Sort of strangely frustrating, unsatisfactory sort of a game so far, Gordon, isn't it?
It has been. It's a bit, especially in the midfield. It's been tight in there, but there's been a lack of quality at times. I think Hearts have been a better team, in my opinion. I think that despite all the changes they've had to make, they've been stronger. Having said that, Killie have probably had the clear-cut chances, but not through general good play all the time. The Killie, now and again, they built up some good moves. Nice touch by Invincible to create his first chance there. But in the main, I think Hearts have been the dominant team, and have got more balls in the box, more crosses in. Kilmarnock have defended in general those crosses pretty well, but I think if anybody deserved to be in front today in terms of general play, it would be Hearts.
A lot of effort going into it from both sides. It's just sometimes one of those days it just doesn't happen for you, Stuart, and it seems to be that for both teams. The final ball's not quite good enough. The final chance is a bit of a snatched attempt. It's a lot of that going on, isn't there?
Yeah, it's a fair comment. I think that we're getting to the stage of the season now where the pitches are having an effect on the quality of play, because we've had quite a dry spell and a bit of frost about, and it means that you get a lot of bobbles and the passing isn't fluent. And, I mean, obviously, Billy Brown has touched on the way that he wants their team to play, and they're playing balls in the channels. And when you play Hearts, you can get suckered into playing like that because they make it a real scrap. And that's the way I think if it carries on as it is, they're more likely to win the game. But as Gordon mentioned, I mean, Kilmarnock have had the lion's share of the chances, and that's what wins and loses games.
And when we were looking, Gordon, weren't we, for how much Hearts were going to miss the huge influence of Steve Presley. They've not, to be honest, missed him too much so far. They've been pretty solid at the back. Been pretty solid.
They've made one or two mistakes, and that's what's resulted in the chances. They might not have got those chances if Presley had been playing, but in general it's been pretty even. This was early in the game. The ball whipped in there, and nobody getting in really. I think Stanton was a bit annoyed at that on that occasion because he put in a very, very good ball.
You've got to be looking for somebody in the far post.
Yeah, and Lily's got. I think Andy Kirk's at the back post, but I think. Oh no, it's not. It's a youngster. It's young Hamill that was in there. But as I said, there was good effort this day. This was a run that Kirk had, but it was a poor shot in the end up. I think he's just trying to curl it inside his left foot. But Hearts were bursting away. Billy said that he thought they started pretty well, but I think Hearts, were dominated the early part of the game too.
This was a real chance though, Stuart, wasn't it? And McKenna hits this well, but should have done better.
Yeah, I mean, it gets the ball caught under his feet to start with, but I mean, it's a fantastic strike. It's just a shade too high. I mean, one thing I noticed about Hearts' danger, most of their dangerous players come down the right-hand side. I think the switch of players on from a lot. Young Sloan is getting himself in good areas to get on the ball and make crosses, and I think it's you can see this is Hearts' strength. You know, they get balls in the box, they win the headers and look for the knockdowns. they play percentage football, but because they're all tuned into the way they play, they're very good at it, and it is quite difficult to defend against.
He's always going to be difficult to deal with, McKenna. He's good in the air. As Billy Brown there said, you know, they play high balls, but they play when it's on. If you get the balls into diagonal areas for crosses, you've got to try and find McKenna and then play off him. But I think Killie have defended pretty well at times. There's once or twice that Dindaloo had to make real good headers, challenge at the back post because McKenna was coming in there. So they managed to get the ball away. But he'll continue to be a threat, McKenna, because we know that he can head the ball.
Let's take a look at one or two of the Killie chances, and perhaps on balance they were the better of the two, and Scorer turns wonderfully early on, and maybe should have done better with the shot, Stuart.
Yeah, I mean, this was a beautiful first touch to lose his defender, and a criminal finish, really, trying to beat the keeper at his near post. You would have expected him to go across the keeper because you always have a chance of a rebound. Maybe the ball might come back off a post.
Did he slice it a little bit? Maybe.
I can't imagine that he would have been going for the near post. Although with his body shape there, maybe he was. We were just talking about this was a lovely layback in, and obviously Hearts get good blocks there. But I think that both teams are trying very hard to win the game. I mean, it's quite clear that Hearts have not come here to shut up shop, even though they're missing a few bodies. And both teams are very keen to win the match. But we've seen chances come through mistakes. That was an awful mistake by Webster, and I think Boyd should have done a lot better with that. It was on his weak side, but he actually held the defender off very well and probably could have taken another touch here because he was in front of Alan Mabry. Maybe could have had a bit more composure.
Yeah, it was great strength by Boy, wasn't it? He just knocked the defender out of the way. This is a lovely touch for Scorer. I expect him to do a bit better there because he scored a very good goal last week. He's got a lovely touch, Scorer. A lot of composure in those sort of situations. We saw him have the shot, but that's if you include the other chances as well, that's two poor strikes he's had, really.
Yes, having set himself up perfectly.
Having set himself up really he just had to stroke that one in, as he did last week when he just stroked the ball in for one of their goals against Dundee. But you know, as I say, he comes through well from midfield, Scorer. Very good plays. Not been as big an influence this week as he was last week, getting on the ball and starting to play and getting things going forward. But he's always somebody who can come and join in with the front two. And I think they'll probably be looking for a bit more from Boyd and Invincible. I think they've been fairly quiet so far.
We'll see whether it all changes in the second half. Goalless at Rugby Park. Let's just remind you of the scoreline in that Tennant Scottish Cup quarter-final at lunchtime today. Celtic beating Rangers by a goal to nil. Henrik Larsson, the scorer, 8 minutes into the second half. Celtic go into that semi-final draw tomorrow night. We'll have highlights for you just after 5 o'clock. But let's take a look now at yesterday's 3 quarter-finals, beginning at Firhill.
Nicholson plays it on, chance here for Dunfermline, must be Richie Byrne scores for Dunfermline. We've only played 10 minutes. Dreadful defending by Partick Thistle. Nice flick on by Brewster, finds Crawford. Good stuff from Dunfermline. That's Young into the path of Barry Nicholson. Is this 2-0 Dunfermline? Yes, it is. Fantastic goal from Dunfermline. 10 minutes before half-time. Have they put themselves into the semi-finals of the Scottish Cup? Nice flick on by Brewster into the path of Crawford. Lovely play from Stevie Crawford. That's a great ball. Chance for Brewster for 3-0. 3-0 it is, and no wonder Craig Brewster celebrating. The tie is over. Partick Thistle 0, Dunfermline 3, and that's a lovely goal. The old Crawford-Brewster combination working perfectly. Great understanding between the two front men. Gives Dunfermline a chance to come forward. Lovely football once again from Dunfermline. Young gets another chance. Does Young will come to Hunt. Lovely skills from Noel Hunt. Surely a penalty. Yeah, it is. Well, not just a penalty, but there's real anger amongst the Partick Thistle players. They feel he took a dive. I don't think he did. And there's a red card for Derek Fleming. He squared up to Noel Hunt after he'd gone down in the area. Is this going to be 4-0 to Dunfermline? Barry Nicholson has his penalty saved by Kenny Arthur. Really good save from the goalkeeper, diving to his left.
quickly. Layoff from Duncan. Barry Wilson. He can hit them from distance, and he has! And he's caught out Gordon Marshall. 10 minutes gone. Barry Wilson on the score sheet for Inverness Cali Thistle. Their fans are delighted. Well, you saw the look in his face. It bounced up kindly for him. He spotted Gordon Marshall a yard or two off his line, and he caught him out. It's the 8th goal of the season for Barry Wilson. Howell's corner. Headed high. At the back is Cragen. In comes Burns. And it came off the head of Russell Duncan. That deflected it over. Positive play now from Motherwell. Cragen involved. And the merest of touches from Duncan. Barry Wilson's onside. Still Wilson, it opens up for him again. Well, it had signs of glory written on it. Now it's Keogh. Thistle on the charge. 3 against 1. Liam Keogh sets it up. The little flick on Russell Duncan. And saved by Gordon Marshall. That would have wrapped it up.
In the opening moments of any Scottish Cup tie, never mind a quarter-final, players are always told to concentrate and use their heads. But not like that. A lack of communication between Xander Diamond and Marcus Heikkinen meant one of Scotland's brightest talents only shone for the first 10 minutes. Heikkinen was okay to continue, but the rough-hewn Diamond lost his sparkle. After a goalless first half, Livingston set about changing the scoreline and soon succeeded, with a little help from the Dons' defence. Russell Anderson's anguished look tells you exactly how bad he felt. David Fernandez was hoping his cross would be tucked away, and so it was. Much to the disgust, of course, of the home dugout. So, Aberdeen had to set about a Scottish Cup rescue mission if they'd any interest in the semi-finals. And it didn't take them long to get back on terms. In clearing his lines, Marvin Andrews unwittingly set up Scott Muirhead. Plenty for him to celebrate, a valuable equaliser and his first goal in the Scottish Cup. Livingston note will wonder how a far from perfectly hit shot from outside the area found its way into the bottom corner. Ironically, Muirhead's next effort could scarcely have been better struck, but wasn't good enough this time to get past the keeper. Muirhead and Aberdeen thwarted by the fingertips of Roddy McKenzie.
So that means that Dunfermline, Inverness Cali Thistle from the First Division, Aberdeen or Livingston and Celtic will go into the semi-final draw, which will be made live tomorrow night on Reporting Scotland 6:45. And Stuart's not happy because Livingston were better than it appeared in those highlights.
Well, we weren't actually an awful lot better. It was just we had a lot of clear-cut chances when the game was at 1-0. Derek Liddy had a couple, and David McNamee broke in from the right. And I'm not sure whether on the balance of play we necessarily deserved it, but you want to save yourself a replay at this stage of the season if you can. Yeah,
2 big cup matches coming up for you now, of course. I wouldn't imagine you'd be too worried about taking Aberdeen back to Hammondville. You've a good record against them there, haven't you?
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, I think the obviously the result of the CIS final may have a big bearing on it, because I think a few of the boys might still be hungover if we were lucky enough to win next weekend. But well, obviously we'll just cross that bridge when we come to it. And I know that it's easy to say you've got to try and be professional, but you know, cup finals don't come around very often.
No, absolutely. And as for Inverness Cali Thistle, this remarkable record of theirs in the Scottish Cup continues, Gordon. It was a poor game yesterday, but what a goal to win it.
Wasn't great, and Stuart mentioned earlier on about pitches having an influence. There's no doubt that pitch does it for parts not the best. Found that Motherwell probably suffered more, and I think Inverness were even admitting that. But it was a great goal. It was a goal worthy of winning any cup tie, wasn't it, from Barry Wilson? What a magnificent strike! And then late on as well, that they had, as we saw there, they had another couple of chances. They could have tied it up and made it look comfortable. But that was at a stage where Motherwell were throwing everything forward, and basically Inverness were just camped in their own edge of their own box. But they did the job defensively really well. Harley let Motherwell have a chance, and you know, they've been doing it over a few seasons now, Inverness, and they are really cup specialists, aren't they?
Yeah, you know how sick Mother will be. I loved Terry Butcher's quote after he said, "I'm going to ask the wife to take away my belt, my shoelaces and my tie tonight." He was that upset about it. And as for Dunfermline, it's the first time they've been in the Scottish Cup semi-final since they won the Cup in 1968. Amazing record, 36 years. But they've got a chance now, Stuart.
Yeah, I mean, they're a very difficult team to play against. I still believe that the whole team ticks around Stevie Crawford and Craig Brewster. If those two are playing, I mean, I think that's the first time they've played together for a while. It's a fantastic partnership, and they really do make them tick, because it's not just with their goals, but their assists, so their link-up play, and they bring midfielders into the game. I mean, they're very hard to play against.
Yeah. Leaving aside the CIS final, which we'll hopefully talk about later, but as regards the Scottish Cup, I mean, I presume for every club it's avoid Celtic in the semi, and then at least you've got a chance of a Hampden final to look forward to.
Yeah, I was speaking to Barry Wilson after the game yesterday, and I said to him that it's inevitable that we'll draw Inverness, with the fact we had John Robertson as a coach there, and David Bingham and Barry there, so I would fully expect us to draw them. But obviously, I mean, we would still have to negotiate the replay first.
Don't you think it'd be built up, Stuart? It'll be Inverness and Celtic.
It's fated, isn't it?
I think that's the one that might be fated.
Well, it's going to be Dunfermline then, isn't it? But no,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I think it's quite interesting that you're going to have, Celtic and the lesser clubs. So you're going to have one of the smaller clubs, if you like, in the final.
Yeah. That all happens tomorrow night. Meantime, let me quickly remind you, if you haven't yet voted for the man of the match, then give us a call, 09011 110 861. Those are the prizes you can win. Somebody will come to the fore in the second half. We assume it's been a little bit disappointing so far in the only league match of the weekend, but let's hope for better things. Back to Rugby Park and to Robin Sandy.
And a Hearts team looking to complete a hat-trick of wins against Kilmarnock this season. Let's hear from Peter Houston.
Yeah, I'm listening. Peter, what have you made of that first half?
I think it's been a poor game so far. I've got to say that the keeper's made a couple of saves, and we've got a couple of half chances that we've not really hit the target with. But we've got a young inexperienced side today. A lot of first-team players missing, but we'll just battle on regardless and hopefully get something.
You've made no changes at half-time, but should we expect something?
Yeah, if things go against us or anything like that, we're just going to keep the shape just now.
Thanks, Peter.
Cheers.
Peter keeping his shape, and second half underway at Rugby Park, with Hearts looking to extend their league unbeaten run from 6 games to 7. And it's been that sort of form which has stretched their advantage in third spot. Scorer starting things in the second half for Kilmarnock with the pass to Murray, then gets it back. So much ability, the young Frenchman. Dancing beyond Maybury, and then disappointed with himself as he fires the ball into the side net. Jake, a problem with Colin Meldrum?
Yeah, there's just been an emergency call in the dressing room. I was just coming away from the area at half-time. I can tell you that Colin Meldrum's calf has gone. Calf muscle problem, and they'll obviously have to get a replacement on as quickly as they possibly can. They've just been called for help in the dressing room, but I've certainly have a problem with Colin Meldrum at the moment.
And the problem for Kilmarnock is that on the bench they have 21-year-old Graham Smith, who hasn't played in the first team at all. He's had loan spells at Stennismuir and Queen's Park, and it looks as if he's going to have to be hurried onto the pitch to replace Meldrum. And how unlucky can you be, Colin Meldrum? He's waited years, literally, to get chances in the first team at Kilmarnock. And a freakish calf injury seems set to rule him out. It is going to rule him out. And there's the youngster, Graham Smith, who right at the start of the second half is going to replace Meldrum. Smith is third choice behind number 1, Francois Dubourdeau. He's injured already. Now Meldrum has that calf problem we've just told you about. And so it's the third choice, Graham Smith, who will come on in the goal for Kilmarnock.
It's a strange one, Rob, the timing of the injury. Obviously, Jim Jeffrey's not aware of any problem at half-time, but when Colin Meldrum, obviously when he must have tightened up at half-time, and he's run on the field starting the second half. I don't know if he sprinted or whatever he's done, but he certainly pulled that calf muscle. And right away, intimated to Jim Jeffries his game is over.
So Smith for Meldrum in goal for Kilmarnock, his first top team appearance for the Rugby Park team. And Hearts will look to ask some questions of the youngster. Nielsen. The pass intended for Phil Stamp. The throw finds Robert Sloan, couldn't get control. Scorer for Boyd. There was a push from Andy Webster, which is spotted and punished by Mike McCurry.
Good play there from Chris Boyd. Manages to get just in front of Andy Webster as the ball's played forward, forcing the defender into the legal challenge.
David Lilly's free kick. Danny Invincible gets past Robbie Nielsen, pulls a very inviting cutback into the path of Stevie Murray, who couldn't quite make it there. That was clever play from Invincible.
Great play from Invincible. Stevie Murray will be frustrated. Invincible gets the break here, doesn't win the header, picks up the second ball, takes on Robbie Nielsen, lifts his head, great ball across the box, and young Stevie Murray just doesn't attack it. He's too late coming in.
Chris Boyd flicking it over his head. Maybury clears. Robert Sloan makes a meal of getting it away. That's Webster. Gary Hay to Stevie Murray. Hay looks to get the ball in the box. Away by Nielsen, only as far as Gary Locke. And that was not far away from breaking the deadlock.
I think Jim Jeffries is looking for a corner kick. This is a good effort from Gary Locke. Good ball in from Gary Hay. Robbie Nielsen with the header, and Gary Locke on to it like a shot. I think the goalkeeper, Craig Gordon, just got a touch to it at the end there. Unlucky not to get the corner kick, but that was half a chance again.
I don't think there's any doubt at all that Craig Gordon got his left glove to that, even though it was heading wide anyway from Locke's shot. What's the news of Colin Meldrumchick?
Well, as you might imagine, he's a very dejected figure in the dressing room. There was nothing at half-time at all to indicate a problem. And just as the game started, the second half, he felt his calf muscle tightening up, felt he couldn't go on, had to admit the problem.
Back from Invincible, chipped in by Fowler. Played away by Webster. Danny Invincible with the shot. It's on target, but it lacked the pace, which would have made it trouble Craig Gordon.
It's a real chance for Danny Invincible. Kelly have started the second half really well. This is the second half chance of the second half. And really time to keep his eye on the ball. This doesn't get enough power on it. The goalkeeper's got to save it. But it's an easy one eventually for the keeper.
A very impressive first 5 minutes of the second half from the home team. And while Billy Brown was the first to acknowledge that Hearts possibly had the edge in the first half, it's Kilmarnock who've come out of the traps after the interval. And Danny Invincible is prominent in their endeavours. Looks a much sharper player, Invincible, than the one I watched earlier in the season.
I think Rob as well, he's now playing right up front beside Chris Boyd. Earlier in the season he was playing off the front, almost a midfield role. But it seems more suited to play as a main striker.
Dindala's header, screaming to Gary Locke to leave it to him. Turned back inside by Boyd, turned straight to Joe Hamill. He's lost it too. Scorer, Invincible. And Gary Hay and Chris Boyd said, after you. No, after you.
Unbelievable amount of mistakes there, under no pressure whatsoever. Mix-up, lack of communication between players in both teams.
Webster's header, safety first. Normally Webster under the wing of Stephen Presley in central defence, but it's he in turn who has to take young Berra under his wing on Berra's first top team start. That's a terrific run of form from Hearts, with wins of late against Livingston and Dundee United and Aberdeen and Partick Thistle. 14 points out of the last 18. This was Gary Locke, the former Hearts captain's effort for Kilmarnock, which wasn't far away. And there's the fingertips of Gordon diverting around the post, but there was no corner. Nearly 8 minutes into the second half, 0-0.
Sorry, Rob, Hearts haven't really started the second half at all. They haven't managed to keep hold of the ball, get a combination of passes. That man there seems fairly happy, Freddie Dindaloo. Very comfortable start to the second half.
Craig Levein would love to think he could win this and stretch the winning run with a side devoid of some of the key players. Gary Hayes free kick. Neil McFarlane. But Hearts are hemmed in at the moment, and Kilmarnock looking to keep the pressure up.
They will do from this long throw. Gary Lough will throw this one right into the box.
5 in the box for the lock throw, Nielsen's header, and that's Kevin McKenna. Dundaloo with a careful header to Barry McLaughlin. Graham Smith, the substitute goalkeeper. It's a good challenge by Berra, who was under pressure from Boyd. Free kick against Sloan.
Very aggressive, young Robert Sloan and Gary Lough. Again, both fighting for the ball, but you can see just the kick from Sloan. The back of Gary Lough's left knee. Thankfully, Gary's back to his feet.
Eric Skora's free kick. Headed away by Nielsen. And Chris Boyd's shot blocked. Deflected behind, it's a corner.
He's unlucky, Chris Boyd. This is on target. I don't think Craig Gordon would have got to this one. It's going right across him. The opposite side, great pace in the ball. Another chance for Kilmarnock.
It was Kevin McKenna, I think, who blocked that from Boyd. Plenty of pressure for Kilmarnock at the start of the second half. Can they make it count? Not this time. It was a spectacular stop there by Craig Gordon, but the whistle had already gone, and Jim Jeffries frustrated.
Frustrated to say the least. I think this ball crosses the line, but the referee, Mike McCurry, blowing the whistle nice and early. It would have been a goal if it hadn't been for the earlier infringement. The Jim Jeffries, I'm sure, is saying to himself now, we're really on top of this game, we're well in control, we're creating chances, but they have to score. If you don't score when you're on top, it'll be difficult to win the match.
Jim Jeffries saying to his players, there's been all sorts of talk about relegation earlier in the season with Kilmarnock at the wrong end of the table, but a few wins get you up the table and suddenly you're talking top 6. Gary Hay lofts it forwards. Andy Webster won the header. Hamill to Sloan. Robbie Nielsen, Andy Kirk, and Kilmarnock might have another problem with Barry McLaughlin this time. Phil Stamp fires it in, good handling from Graham Smith, that will do him some good. He replaced Colin Meldrum, and Kilmarnock might be about to have to replace Barry McLaughlin as well.
The goalkeeper does well, but this is a poor ball from Phil Stamp. It's too close to the keeper, right down his throat, making it easy for him. Didn't have to make a decision to keep it to come off his line.
What's the news about McLaughlin, Chick?
Yeah, it's a little problem. He's on the ball now. There's a problem with a hamstring injury, actually. He came across a few moments ago to clear a pass back, or give a pass back to Smith, and he just pulled his hamstring. He grasped at it with his right leg as he kicked it with his left, and he'd just been told to the bench. Jim Jeffries asked him about it. He said, give it 5 minutes. We'll see how he bears up, see if he pulls out of it. So we'll just watch him closely over the next few minutes, but it's definitely a hamstring problem.
That was a foul, Sloan on Skora. McLaughlin and Dundaloo up for the free kick, in from Eric Skora! What an opportunity for Danny Invincible to get Kilmarnock in front. Should have scored.
It should have been a goal. Great delivery from Skora. Tremendous pace in the ball. Makes it easy for the striker. Just make sure you make contact. And Danny Invincible, if he can put that into a corner, there's no way Craig Gordon would have got there because of the pace on the delivery.
From point-blank range, Danny Invincible, who scored his first Kilmarnock goals last weekend, should have added another. They might regret that.
This is where Hearts miss the big players. They normally defend set pieces so well. But with Presley out, Mark de Vries, another big player, wouldn't have to defend set pieces out. Kilmarnock are certainly looking a real threat. The high balls into the box.
Dindala's free kick easily dealt with. And Barry McLaughlin hasn't done himself any good, I don't think, by trying to hoik the ball downfield, and he now is moving very gingerly, and he's giving himself a few minutes to try to run off the problem, but not looking too happy at the moment.
No, I think Jim Jeffries won't take any risks either. Gordon Greer's on the bench today. Obviously passed that early fitness test.
And I think the word from McLaughlin to the bench is, that's it for me. And Hearts might cash in. Here's Andy Kirk. Graham Smith in the way. And that was very much the message to Jim Jeffries. You better make that change or you could get caught out.
That's why you can't take a risk. Andy Kirk, his first touch is poor here. He takes it far too wide, just on his knee there. If he can get across the front of McLaughlin, that would have been a chance through on the goalkeeper, but eventually has to try and pull it back.
Sloan's corner. Missed by everyone. Phil Stamp fires it in! Hearts have scored. It's Andy Webster. It's 1-0. 14 minutes into the second half. Webster's first SPL goal of the season.
You've got to say it's against the run of play, but this is a good ball in from Phil Stamp. And Andy Webster just sticks a foot out. There's enough pace in the ball from Stamp. It just changes direction of the crossing, the ball across goal. And it's right between the goalkeeper and the defender on the post. Little break to say the least, but when you put the ball into that area and you attack it, you go for it. Sometimes you get the breaks.
Slightly delayed reaction from Craig Levine, but he made up for it once he realised it was in. Webster for Hearts, second goal of the season, one in the UEFA Cup, and the opening goal in this SPL encounter at Rugby Park. Kilmarnock have made their change. Game over for Barry McLaughlin. And his replacement in central defence, straight swap, Gordon Greer.
Little test of character now for Kilmarnock. So far in front, second half, dominating the game. And suddenly they find themselves a goal down. They've got to try and make sure they keep the pace of the game up, keep the belief.
He's barely touched the ball, has Graham Smith, before picking it out of the back of the net, and he can only look on there in anguish as Kilmarnock desperately tried to keep out the Webster shot, but in it went, and Hearts are in front. And how often do we see that happen? All the pressure in the second half, the opening 15 minutes, has been Kilmarnock's. They missed a sitter through Danny Invincible, and almost immediately, up at the other end, Stamp played it in, and it was prodded home by Webster. 1-0 Hearts at Rugby Park. And now looking to build on what they've got with Neil McFarlane. Robert Sloan plays it in, looking for Andy Kirk. It was a good ball, and it was well kept out by Greer.
Good defender from Gordon Greer. That was also good refereeing from Mike McCurry. I think it was a free kick in Phil Stamp's favour, right in the centre spot. But Neil McFarlane breaking forward with the ball, referee played advantage.
McFarlane back with Webster. That's Maybury, and that's all the way through. More live football, of course, on Thursday night. The massive match in the UEFA Cup between Celtic and Barcelona, the first leg of their fourth round meeting. The preview on BBC One Scotland from 7 o'clock. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff. Don't miss that one. Stevie Murray's clever pass releases Gary Hay, and offside was Danny Invincible.
It was a pure pass eventually from Gary Hay. Invincible certainly just a yard offside.
This was a good one.
Another chance for Kilmarnock. Good play.
Yeah,
good
Murray's pass was good.
Yeah, it's a good pass. Gary Hay, just hold on to it just a fraction longer. He's got to recognise that Invincible's in an offside position. Could maybe have went all the way himself there.
His clearance There's a push by Marion Maybury. He's only small, but he can shove them like the best.
He's a decent player, though, Stevie Murray. I like watching him. As you said earlier, Rob, old-fashioned, tricky, tight winger. Marvellous left foot.
Yeah, you'll remember Stanley Matthews.
Remember him well.
In from Maybury. Kevin McKenna's header. And a little bit of jostling going on inside the penalty box. Hearts have the free kick. In fact, Kilmarnock have the free kick.
Yeah, lots of players going for the ball. As I said, you very seldom see a penalty in that type of instance. I don't really see a free kick either way. Maybe just that one Andy Webster there. It's a little pull.
Against Chris Boyd. And Boyd, having hit the ground, is still there.
I think when you look at the game today, Rob, Hearts under a lot of pressure. They have defended very well. Andy Webster, he's got young Christoph Berra beside him today. You would think he would miss Stephen Presley, but he's shown lots of maturity, Webster. And obviously scoring that vital opening goal.
Well, you'd have got a decent bet on first scorer against the name of Andrew Webster, but it is he who has broken the deadlock here, and it was a sharp bit of finishing.
It was, but I think you give Phil Stamp lots of credit. It's the pace in that ball across the goal. All Andy Webster's got to do, all he's got to do is change the direction. Young goalkeeper, no chance of saving this. But Webster, give him credit for being there.
A hat-trick of injury problems for Kilmarnock. Meldrum is gone, McLaughlin is gone, now Boyd's gone, Chick.
Yeah, he's just given indication to the bench that he won't be taking any further part in this game. The change is about to be made. I think it will be Colin Nish who's coming on for Kilmarnock.
That would mean striker for striker. If it's Nish for Boyd, that certainly would be the expected change. Gary Hayes lost it. Maybury has it. Good work from McFarlane. That's a Hearts throw off Murray.
It's ironic, Rob, the way that football works. We said how well Kilmarnock were playing, start the second half, first 15 minutes. And since they've lost the goal, they really have fallen out of the game altogether. Hearts have certainly grown in confidence.
It is going to be Colin Nish for Chris Boyd, but it's Hearts who are in control. And things not going right at the moment for Kilmarnock. A miscue there from Lilly. Andy Cook. Looking for a free kick. No chance.
I think he got 8.9 for the dive there, Andy Cook.
Only 8.9. Colin Nish waiting to come on. And here is the former Dunfermline striker, Colin Nish, looking to add to his 7 goals this season. And happy birthday, Colin, 23 today.
Just a boy, 23.
.66 minutes on the clock. Kilmarnock 0, Hearts 1. Andy Webster's goal. Celtic Barcelona, remember, is an 8 o'clock kickoff on Thursday night. We told you about the preview at 7. Well, the match is at 8. And you'll, of course, see Old Firm highlights from the Cup quarter-final today, later in this programme. 1-0 Celtic, Henrik Larsson's goal. If you didn't want to know the score, sorry. Kilmarnock looking to get back on level terms. Here's Danny Invincible. Shut down quickly by Christoph Berra. Gary Locke's long throw. Nish waiting, but it was Joe Hamill who cleared. Let's get a medical update from Mr. Charles Young, MD.
Yeah, It's like mash down here. Another hamstring injury, the verdict on Chris Boyd, and there's Jim Jebs getting a little wound up, and if he doesn't calm down, he may be next to one be carted off.
That's Gary Locke. He's captain at Hearts and is captain at Kilmarnock. Not to mention Bradford. Joe Hamill's pass. Andy Kirk was pacey enough to get there before Freddie Dindala. McFarlane to Maybury. Maybury's cross is dangerous. It's a great save by Graham Smith to deny Robert Sloan a second Hearts goal. Good goalkeeping on his top team debut.
Great move from Hearts. McKenna freed Maybury down the right hand side. It's a great ball in. Young Sloan does everything right, gets to the ball first, and Young Smith then goes. That's a tremendous reflex save. Young goalkeeper won't do his reputation any harm with this one. And it's good defending eventually. Ball breaks back out to Kevin McKenna, and again Kelly defended it well.
And if Kilmarnock go on to get something from this match, they will owe a debt to 21-year-old Graham Smith. Sloan's corner, poor one. James Fowler dealt with it equally poorly. In from Robbie Nielsen. Hayes' header, struggling to see it through the sunshine. Free kick against Kirk.
Just put his arm across Freddie Dindaloo there.
So we're in the 70th minute at Rugby Park. Kilmarnock 0, Hearts 1. Kilmarnock started the second half so well and then lost the opening goal. And things have been levelled up considerably. Hearts, who started the match with all sorts of key players missing, but it's been balanced up in the second half with 1, 2 and now 3 Kilmarnock players having gone off injured. Greer clears. Back it comes from Nielsen. Dindala missed the header. Not that time. Vera with the header. 2 Kilmarnock players jumping for the same ball there. Skora and Locke. A raised hand by Skora, kept Stamp away. Stevie Murray on the move. Gary Hay alongside. Good footwork from Hay, a good recovery from Maybury.
Great defender from Marlon Maybury.
It's a throw in, and that means send for Gary Locke. Wonder if Locke could be the key here. Gary Locke's long throw, looking for Colin Nish. Came off ahead of Andy Webster. It's a Killie corner. Does have a bit of aerial presence, does Nish, but Webster took care of him there. Eric Skora looks to make something happen for Kilmarnock, but the whistle has gone. Free kick given, and that takes the pressure right off Hearts.
It does. It may well be for a free kick on Craig Gordon, the goalkeeper. The young keeper seemed to come for the ball and then suddenly stopped, put his arms down. Mike McCurry spotted it right away. You see as it comes in, is this Freddie Dindaloo holding Craig Gordon back the way? I'm not too sure if that is a free kick, to be honest with you. Dindaloo's only holding his ground. Too much protection for those goalkeepers again.
2-0 Hearts against Kilmarnock in September. 2-1 Hearts against Kilmarnock in December. And 1-0 Hearts at Kilmarnock in March.
Free kick going Kilmarnock's way that time. Robin Nielsen just on the back of Danny Invincible.
Craig Levine has been known to have problems with the referee in this Kilmarnock Hearts fixture. No crosswords towards Mike McCurry yet. It's early. Eric Skora's free kick. And good goalkeeping from Craig Gordon. Using his height, using his physique. And he took complete control here.
Nothing seems to faze this young keeper. Making his mind up. I'm coming for this one. Lots of bodies there. He's a big lad, he's over 6 foot anyway, and he puts those big long arms up. It makes him favourite every time.
Hesitation between Greer and Smith before the young goalie cleared. Skora trying to force his way through. Invincible. Free kick given by the assistants on the far side.
Another chance for Kelly though. Skora, I'm sure he'll take this one again. His delivery second half's been much better than it was first. Every Hearts player back inside the box to defend this one.
Hearts are going to make a change, but not yet. Skora with the free kick. Freddie Dundala was in there. It's scrambled away by Hearts at the expense of a corner.
It's a good delivery again. Havoc inside the Hearts penalty box. Almost pinball in there again. Alan Maber eventually getting it clear.
It was Invincible who got his head to it, and Hearts were happy to just knock it behind. Skora fires it in, but he doesn't fire it beyond the near post.
That was a poor delivery that time from Skora. I'm sure Gary Luff will take this long throw again.
Lock's throw, it's beyond Nish. Headed away by Webster. That was Hamill. And now Kirk. One back by Murray. And that's very calmly dealt with by Robert Sloan. Nish to Murray. Collected by Hamill at the edge of the area. Kirk and Stamp. James Fowler has it back.
Tell you, Rob, the longer this game's going, Andy Webster's becoming immense at the heart of that Hearts defence. Playing really well, solid, winning every challenge like that one, coming into anywhere near the 18-yard line.
Well, it was going to be a single switch, but we've had to wait so long for it. It's now going to be a double. For Hearts, Lock's throw. Again, it's that man Webster, attacking everything. And calm defending from Maybury. Realised there was no one near from a Kilmarnock point of view and steered the header back to Gordon. Inside the last 15 minutes at Rugby Park, Graham Weir and Neil Janicek are about to be introduced. Locke, the Killie captain. Eric Skora can be a big creative force for the home team. Invincible. He's hobbling now as well. Murray. That's out. Kilmarnock's throw. Gary Hayes cross. And Craig Gordon again with very confident handling.
It was David Lally coming in at the back post there, trying to back up his forwards. But that young man there, goalkeeper, again a very clean catch, under a lot of pressure. First header's high up in the air, but Lally attacks it again. But the young keeper keeps his eye on the ball again, makes it look so easy.
He really does command his penalty box, doesn't he, Gordon?
Yep. Every time we see him play, we've seen him a few times live in the BBC. He's always in very good performances.
A goalkeeper who's got to be knocking on the door of the Scotland squad.
I was going to say that. I hope Mr. Vokes is paying attention.
Andy Kirk's going to come off for Hearts to be replaced by 19-year-old Graham Weir. And Robert Sloan is coming off as well. And Neil Janicek is 20, so a 19-year-old and a 20-year-old on for Hearts. as the Tynecastle team look to finish the job here and add another win to an impressive run of results.
I don't think there'll be any tactical change from Craig Levein. 2 straight swaps.
And immediately with his first touch, Graham Weir could have made it 2.
It should have been 2. It's a real chance. Janacek playing the free kick in. Ken McKenna, I think it is again, who wins the header at the back post. And Weir does everything right. Gets across Freddie Dindaloo. You've got to hit the target again. That started just a little bit. Great timing of the run. First to the ball. Just maybe side foot it, take the power off it, just glide in towards the goal.
Weir to Hamill. Joe Hamill seeing a chance opening up to have a strike at goal. And a foul by Gary Locke on Phil Stamp. Got himself on the wrong side. I thought he was going to climb on Phil Stamp's back there for a minute.
He's all over him like one of your cheap suits here, Rob. Great play from Phil Stamp. Gary Locke's right over the top of him.
I'll get my tailor onto you. Hearts know a second goal at this stage would make things pretty safe at Rugby Park. Phil Stamp and Neil Janacek over the ball. 4 players strung along the edge of the box. Webster and Weir and McKenna and Berra. That's forgettable from Phil Stamp. It's so high, it's almost in among the Hearts supporters.
You can see the embarrassment of Phil Stamp's face after that one. This gets it completely wrong. Leaning back as he hits the ball. It's a little touch of hit. Leaning back, his foot under it. Almost like a rugby conversion there.
If Hearts can win here, it will be 17 points out of a possible 21. 5 wins and 2 draws in 7 games. Strong form, and that will take Hearts out of sight in 3rd place and ensure UEFA Cup football next season. So despite all the doubts and the uncertainty about what's happening off the pitch at Tynecastle, on the pitch, things are going well. And all the better, Sandy, when you consider the number of youngsters they have on the pitch here.
Well, I think that's a great sign from the future's point of view as far as Hearts are concerned. But I think Craig Levein, as you've said it, Rob, deserves enormous credit. The board at Hearts are under lots of pressure, have been for a long time, especially the chief executive, Chris Robinson. This is a certain free kick, Greer in the back of Graham Weir. It's a yellow card as well. But as I was saying, Craig's completely took the pressure off the directors. He's got a solid team in the park. We've got lots of belief in the way they play.
Janacek to Hamill. Good movement from Graham Weir. He's tripped by Freddie Dindaloo. Well, that looked to me like a surefire penalty.
He certainly gets to the ball first, Graham Weir. He makes the best of it eventually. He's got the corner kick, so Mike McCurry's taking it. Freddie Dindaloo gets a touch on the ball. Yeah, he did. That's the only thing that saved Dindaloo there. He just got a touch on the ball and no more. Good refereeing.
Janacek's corner. Gary Locke heads it away. Nielsen. And too much on the return pass. That heads out. Well, it's when you look at the team Hearts have put out here, the squad they've put out, that you see they started with youngsters like Andy Webster, who's still a youngster at 21, Sloan and Hamill and Berra, and on in the second half have come Weir and Janacek. So things are going well at present for Hearts, and the future looks pretty bright as well for them.
Well, Hearts over the years have always produced good young players, and it's shown again. If they do manage to win this game, then it's mainly down to those youngsters.
A hefty challenge by David Lilly angers the Hearts technical area. And Mike McCurry wants a word. Chick, you must have got a good view of that.
Yeah, I did actually, right in front of me. I thought Mike McCurry's right. The fans, I've got to say this quietly because the Kilmarnock fans are all around me, but I honestly thought it was a very rash challenge. He seemed involved in an attack. There you go, I'd right over the back of him. There's no doubt me that Mike McCurry's absolutely right. Jim Jeffries is raging and the fans around me are. In fact, Billy Brown now in trouble with the 4th official. He's been called over by Mike McCurry.
I don't think Billy can have any argument there, because David Lilly's trying to win the ball, but when you get through with that type of aggression, there's a real chance you can cause a bad injury to the opposition player.
Jake, if you could maybe supervise the application of the ice pack to Billy Brown, please.
Yeah, I mean, and the Kilmarnock fans around me, they could do with a little cooling down as well. But, there's no doubt for me, and that's what the pressure that referees are under. But I think Mike McCurry got that absolutely right. The intent from Willie was in his mind, because he was involved in a challenge just before that.
Here's little Graham Weir again. He's been a lively introduction for Hearts. Hamill's pass. Janacek threads it through. It's Weir. And it's cleared by David Lilly. Straight back to Weir. And a snapshot from Stamp. Goes wide. Who's man of the match?
Well, there's been a few contenders today. Freddie Dindeloo certainly did a very, very good first half. But in the second half, that man there clearly would be delighted with the performance of Andy Webster at the heart of his defence. He's crept young, Christoph Berra, right, the longer the games went, and also scored that vital open goal, which could well prove to be the winner. He's my Bank of Scotland man of the match.
A real talent, Webster, at the age of 21. A lot of experience for Hearts and for Scotland. And if you're a defender, he's learning in the right place under the tutelage of Craig Levine, who was one of the best. He was playing at Arbroath not so very long ago, and he wouldn't have got away with hair like that in Arbroath, I'll tell you.
I think you give Craig again credit for picking out Andy Webster when he played at Arbroath. When he started to play in the Premier League, he looked very, very rough, lots to learn, very, very naive. But I think the managers kept him right. And we've said it before, Craig playing that position, there was no one better. Had the great privilege of playing alongside him for a long time.
Collins' header to Maybury, kept in by Invincible. It was Webster doing his very cool and commanding job in central defence again. Time running out for Kilmarnock if they're to salvage something from this game. Having won their last 2 home games, they don't fancy a defeat here. But it's heading that way unless they can do something pretty dramatic. Janacek clears. The Hearts will certainly expect some late pressure from Kilmarnock to try to at least square the game. And Danny Invincible will reflect on a sitter missed early in the second half. A header from point-blank range in front of goal, which went straight at Craig Gordon, and almost immediately Hearts were ahead through Webster.
So that first 15 minutes of the second half, that was the important part of the game for me. Kilmarnock totally in charge, creating chance after chance. Danny Invincible having the best of those chances, but they just couldn't get the ball in the back of the net, and they look as if they're going to pay the price for it.
Scorer fires in the free kick. Headed away by that man Webster. Murray. Closely watched by Janacek at the expense of a corner. Kilmarnock need a goal. Murray's corner. There is the goal from Danny Invincible. It's 1-1 with 3.5 minutes left. His first 2 Kilmarnock goals last weekend, and his third one might just have saved the day here.
You've got to say Kilmarnock deserved this. They've worked so hard. The great little flick on, and Danny Invincible standing on his own, no one marking him. I think Neil McFarlane, Ken McKenna, one of those two, they'll get the blame, they go to sleep. But Invincible eventually is on his own just to knock it into the net. Can't miss from there. It was Ken McKenna, it was Neil McFarlane. One of those two, I'm sure, should have been picking up Invincible. They both go to sleep. And Kilmarnock got the equaliser.
1-1 at Rugby Park, with a couple of minutes to go. Hearts Hearts were all wrapped up in marking Colin Nish and Freddie Dindala at the near post, and that allowed all the room that Danny Invincible needed, and he was unmarked as he headed home the equaliser, and Craig Levine will be far from happy about that.
As a coach, Rob, the one thing he keeps saying, it's not the first header, it's the second one, the second ball inside the box. If you switch off, if you go to sleep and the ball's flicked on, it can cost you. That's what happened there to Hearts.
It was almost there for Hearts, and now it looks as if they're going to have to settle for a point. Still not a bad result for a depleted team at Rugby Park, but Hearts will feel they might well have got a second goal and made things safe and defended a little bit better as well from that set piece. Is there yet another twist in this tale, I wonder? A long throw for McKenna. Greer heads it away. Janacek knocks it down. Here's McKenna. Alan Mabry on the overlap. Colin Nish went back with him. Well, it took Danny Invincible 14 Kilmarnock appearances to get a goal. Now he's got 3 in 2 games. And Mabry's throw. Kilmarnock free kick. And we're in the 90th minute at Rugby Park. It's 1-1. And come on, smile. It looked as if Kilmarnock were heading for defeat. But now their much more impressive home form looks like continuing.
He'll be fairly happy, Jim Jeffries, today. But the disappointment part will be the fact that his team couldn't take the lead when they were dominating the game. The good spirit to fight back and keep working away to get that equalising goal. Oh,
that's a dive, surely. Took the throw from the wrong place, Bobby Nielsen. Although I think his face was red at the time and he was just keen to get rid of it. 90 minutes played at Rugby Park, 3 to go. Kilmarnock 1, Hearts 1. Invincible's equaliser after Webster's opener. Plenty of time for a winner. Invincible kept out by Berra. In goes Hay. Janacek. His pass charged down. And
that's a free kick.
Lunge at Nielsen from Murray.
It's not frightened, Stevie Murray. He certainly gets stuck in.
So it's looking now as if Hearts will be 10 points ahead of Dunfermline at close of play. And Kilmarnock will be a point better off as well. In that tightly packed middle section of the Bank of Scotland Premier League. Colin Nish has made his presence felt since he's come on for Kilmarnock. He's put himself about and he definitely played a part in that equalising goal.
Well, such a big lad. Again, it's set pieces. If the delivery's right, big guys have got a real advantage in this. Just get that little flick on to create the chance for Invincible.
Phil Stamp's cross. Here's a chance for Janacek, and he was never over the shot. And there was a chance to test out Graham Smith.
No real belief there from the youngster. No confidence when the ball fell to him. Got to get it on target.
Two minutes added, 1 to go at Rugby Park.
I think over the piece, if this ends up 1 each, looks like that now. I think that's a fair result. Both teams are giving it their best shot. Not a lot of quality football, but a lot of chances because of sheer effort and determination, and both want to win the game.
free kick given against Nish for the challenge on Berra. And that means Hearts will send everybody forward now. Webster and Berra head up for the, what you would imagine will be the final set piece of the match. Maybury's free kick aimed at McKenna. Cleared by Fowler. Invincible against Nielsen. Danny Invincible gets the edge over the Hearts defender. The final chance. Now Maybury doing the defending and keeping out Invincible, who, having squared the game, I think fancied winning it.
Great play from Invincible. Had no right to win that 50-50 with Nielsen. But driving forward eventually wins a corner kick.
The equaliser came from a corner kick, but this time no such result for Kilmarnock. It finishes 1-1 at Rugby Park. Handshakes all round between Jim Jeffries and Craig Levine and the backroom staff. Andy Webster thought he'd won it for Hearts with his first league goal of the season, prodding home an effort from Phil Stamp. But Danny Invincible had other ideas, and having opened his Kilmarnock account last weekend with 2 goals in the 4-2 win against Dundee, he struck again an unmarked close-range header, badly defended by Hearts, but a valuable goal for the home team, Kilmarnock, who maintain their decent run at home, having had such a miserable series of results at Rugby Park over the course of the season. 2 wins only here in 6 months, but they won their 2 matches previous to this one at home, and Danny Invincible's header made sure that they would take something from this game as well. Andy Webster having scored for Hearts against the run of play. Kilmarnock dominated the first quarter of an hour of the second half, looked as if they should have got themselves in front, but it was Andy Webster who scored first for Hearts, and it looked as if that might be the only goal of the game until Danny Invincible squared things late on. 3 goals in 2 games for the Australians. 1-1 at Rugby Park. Andy Webster, man of the match.
Andy, great performance. I've got champagne for you in a moment. I'm sure it's always pleasing, but I know you'll be disappointed with the loss of that late goal.
Yeah, I think so. I think they put us under a bit of pressure near the end, and obviously they got a goal. It's disappointing for us.
Did you think you had the 3 points won?
Nah, game's 90 minutes long. You need to go till the end, and obviously we didn't do that. It's disappointing.
The goal, of course, it was a telling one. You've come out of a goal machine. Well, suddenly we can have a look at it. What do you just recall of it?
I can remember Stampy obviously hitting it back across the goal, and I've stuck my left foot out and got a toe on it. Good job. I got size 9 feet.
But it's, I mean, you've been keen to get forward, get into these kind of areas. These chances have been falling for you.
Yeah, I think so. So I think probably developing a bit more as a player, and obviously if I get the opportunity to go forward, then I will.
That's actually, we were talking about that in the commentary, how quickly you're maturing. I mean, your inclusion in the Scotland setup obviously has obviously helped, but do you feel you've added a lot to your game this season?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've improved. Obviously, still a long way to go, but I'll keep working hard.
Well done. I've got the bottle of man of the match champagne from the back of Scotland. Well done.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
Andy. All the best.
Much.
Yes, Andy Webster, the man of the match for Hearts this afternoon. Harry Alt from Edinburgh. I think Harry's won before. I recognise that name. Well done, Harry. Jack Stevenson from Glasgow and Fiona McLaughlin from Dunoon all win their prizes from the Bank of Scotland. And that 1-1 draw means that Hearts will stretch a little further ahead of Dunfermline in 3rd place. They now are 10 points clear, although they've played a game more, obviously. Down at the bottom, we've got Kilmarnock join